So now that Bloonarius is finally back, I decided to do a challenge that I wanted to do from week 1, but I just never got around to it, is can you beat Bloonarius with just a super buff Churchill? What is super buffed? Well, in this case, it implies support temple. I'm allowing support temple because true sun god with just support sacrifices is terrible. Cripple Moab, and super brittle, permabrew, homeland, pretty much any buff you can think of, and just have Churchill as my main DPS. Now, I eventually want to do this with all heroes, well not all heroes, but all heroes that have like decent damage, like Adora, Churchill, which I just did, and I also want to do Etienne, because if you don't know, Etienne has a bug with his UCAV where if you give it enough attack speed, 2 UCAVs will spawn simultaneously, and plus UCAV is full map range, which is really good, and I don't really think that challenge would be that easy since you need level 10 before round 40. Now, believe it or not, this was attempt 1 of 3. It actually took me 3 attempts in order to do this, as early game Churchill's kinda he needs a lot of support for tier 1 through 3, but once you beat tier 3, tier 4 and 5 isn't really that hard. Early rounds aren't really that hard, so I'll just fast forward to tier 1. Now, my farms are looking kinda although looking back it probably was okay, considering I did have to spend almost 2k on Churchill, which costs more than a farm. I decided to get 2 plantations before round 40, and so looking at the DPS right now, I figure that I can definitely finish this, or not finish this, but beat Bloonarius before he exits the track, which is nice. Although realizing it now, here in real time, I realize that Alchemist and just a 2-0-0 village won't be enough in order to beat Bloonarius, so I decided to get an overclock. But then I also realized I'm gonna need a support Chinook to move Churchill around. I was starting to get a little bit worried because I need overclock and the cooldown before the first skull, as I really wasn't confident in Churchill being able to beat the Bloonarius inside. And I still need a support Chinook on top of that. Now this Bloonarius, I feel like I probably could have done this challenge first try if it was on a better map, at a better central location. I could have used Absolute Zero to freeze the water, but I decided against that as just didn't really feel like doing it, and I was just gonna use support Chinook anyways, so just felt like a waste of money. Now, as you saw there, overclocked Churchill was enough to beat the Bloonarius insides, although just barely, so I can imagine for skulls 2 and 3, it's gonna be a lot tighter. Fast forwarding a bit, because Churchill stopped attacking, I didn't go for support Chinook in this attempt. I decided to go for flavored trades. Looking back, I probably should have just saved that money for support Chinook, but oh well. Jumping a little ahead, I did get a support Chinook, but wave 3 unfortunately killed me. Retrying from round 40, I decided to sell one of my farms in order to afford overclock just a bit faster. Now looking back at the footage, I realized I probably wouldn't have taken 3 attempts, as I just thought of a strategy as I'm editing this, as what if I just decide to buy level 10 Churchill before round 40, as of course level 10 has Mo Barrage, and that would mean I wouldn't have to spend as much money on support, but I would have to spend a lot more money in order to level up Churchill level 10, because Churchill does not get level 10 before round 40, he levels up incredibly slow. I don't even think he reaches level 20 on like expert maps before round 100. I'm not 100% sure, don't quote me on that. But anyway, selling my farm did increase my pace a lot, as I was able to get overclocked before the first skull. Because of that, I decided to go for farms, as I am going to need farms for tier 2 and 3. As you can see, while the DPS is enough to beat Bloonarius, it is very slow, and so really you'll end up seeing is that throughout all my attempts, tier 1 and 2 were very close to each other. Now as you can see, I was able to get my heli earlier. Now it's fast forwarding again, as Churchill stopped attacking. I didn't get my support Chinook before Bloonarius came back in range of Churchill. I then decided to start focusing on farming again, as like I said earlier, tier 1 and 2 are going to be very close to each other. As you can see, it's already round 51 and I still haven't popped Bloonarius, and so I'll have like I think 1 or 2 rounds before the next tier Bloonarius spawns. Anyways, I don't have anything to talk about pertaining to the video at this moment, so I decided to give a little channel update here. I will do this kind of challenge more in the future. I won't really do it with Lich because you kind of can't, since you really can't buff towers. So I don't really think that challenge is possible. Plus Lich is incredibly fast, a lot faster than Bloonarius, so figured, you know, it's impossible. We'll do it with like Adora. I said Etienne because Etienne it really is kind of a silly challenge, but I think it would be cool. Anyways, for the third skull, I decided to move Churchill over here as he gets a straight line, sort of, with the ceramic wave, which he was easily able to beat. Also, just another thing I want to point out real quick is I did finish recording all the episodes of KRPG. Once all the episodes of KRPG out, I will do DragonBall Terraria Season 2. Why? Because I was looking through the Terraria mod browser. I saw a mod that interests me. It's I think it's called like Calamity in DragonBall Terraria Convergence. Basically, it converges DragonBall Terraria and the Calamity mod. I decided to do it as I thought, you know, it'd be pretty cool to have DragonBall Terraria and Calamity combined. And then of course I will be playing Battles 2 when that eventually comes out. Fast forwarding a tiny bit, I just got some flavored trades and I killed Bloonarius around 56, so it really is tight. I only have 4 rounds to the next Bloonarius. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do for tier 2 as I barely beat tier 1 and tier 2 has 75,000 health, and so I just wasn't really sure. I decided to sell the overclock in order to get some marketplaces just to squeeze out as much money as possible. Thanks to the marketplace, or not marketplace, but bottom path buff with getting increased sellback, you know, it really is worth going for it, even if I'm only going to keep it for a few rounds. Now, like I said, I wasn't really sure, so I decided hopefully that maybe a call to arms and a homeland defense would be enough in order to pop tier 2 before tier 3 starts. Now here I decided to get back my support, with really my only support being overclock. I also saw that Churchill was very close to level 10, so I decided to buy that anyways, as it really is really necessary for tier 2 as Moab Barrage does incredible damage, and the fact that there aren't really a lot of Moabs right now. Most of the Moab Barrage missiles will land on Bloonarius, and as you can see, it did lots of damage. There really isn't much I have to say for tier 2 of Bloonarius, as well tier 2 is pretty much similar to tier 1, except now I'm going to try to afford Call to Arms in order just to get a bit more damage, as relying on Moab Barrage as pretty much my main DPS, as Churchill's main attack just simply doesn't enough. It is very slow, as you can see. Here I decided to get 2 glue hoses, as I wasn't really sure if Churchill by himself, well with some support, could beat the tier 2 ceramic cluster, as it is denser than it is in tier 1. Here I give up on attempt 1 as I realized I wasn't simply not doing enough DPS in order to beat Bloonarius in time. You know, he made it to like where all my BRFs are, and he still had like 30k HP left. I realized I wasn't going to make it. So here I just tried the similar strat again. This time as with tier 3 I managed to get Homeland up in time, but even here I still just was not doing enough DPS in time. So I decided to just throw in the towel and was like, can Churchill beat Bloonarius if I used a cast drop? My strategy for my second attempt was pretty much similar, except instead of going for my farm first, I decided to go, what if I just went for my Churchill first? Still, that didn't really help. As you see, by tier 3 I did have decent farms up, but even then it still wasn't enough in order to beat Bloonarius. Looking, like I said earlier, it probably is a lot easier if it was on a better map, as that river in the middle is like a very crucial and central location that I could use. I definitely think that this challenge would be a lot easier to do on a longer and better map. Fast forwarding to round 37, As you can see, farming is a lot better. I was able to get all my farms except one up to plantations, and I even went for a discount village because I just had a lot of spare money. Now I'm working on my overclock. As you can see, by the time Bloonarius spawned in, I basically had my overclock up, which is a lot faster than my previous attempts at this. Here I decided to now start working on my support Chinook, which hopefully will allow me to kill Bloonarius faster, since I can now Chinook Churchill over to the right side of the map when Bloonarius is out of range. Now, I just would like to say that this challenge is definitely doable without using cash drops. Just figuring out a better way to beat tier 1 and 2 is really just essential for the last few tiers, as you do have to spend a lot on support just for Churchill to beat the second tier and the first tier. Like I said, a better map could help greatly, as you maybe won't need a support Chinook in order to beat Bloonarius if it was on another map, on maybe like Cracked or something. I think that would have been probably the best week to do this on. It would either be Cracked or Cubism, since Cubism and Cracked, they are sorta long. Well, Cracked is kinda long, Cubism is very long. Both of those maps could definitely help out a lot, since I don't think you would need a support Chinook in order to beat Bloonarius. Now, as you can see, I am definitely killing Bloonarius a lot faster, just thanks to the fact that I have all my support up before Bloonarius spawns in. Well, I guess not really before, but my main support that I crucially need is up before round 40. Here, I decided to take a risk, and unfortunately did not pay off. Anyways, back to where we left off, you can see my farming game is even better, as I was able to get 3 marketplaces while Bloonarius spawned, as well as a BRF. As you can see, I was able to get a second BRF before Bloonarius was defeated. For tier 2, I decided to be extra greedy, as I got most of my farms up to the BRF status, and I haven't even gotten my call to arms yet. Well, I just got it now, but you know what I mean. And again, I had to buy level 10 Churchill, as I feel like level 10 Churchill is pretty much mandatory for tier 2. Now, I wasn't sure how much support I was going to need for tier 2, so I just decided to save up for a homeland and just pray that that was more than enough to beat tier 2. And I was actually able to afford a homeland without having to sell anything, which is a huge improvement over my previous attempts. While Churchill was going to town on Bloonarius, I decided to start farming, as I am going to need a lot better farms for tier 3, as I am going to need a lot more support, as well as Churchill levels. I think the best thing about the homeland ability, aside from, you know, obviously a longer uptime and of course more attack speed, is that it affects monkeys everywhere, so I don't have to sell call to arms and move it in range of Churchill every time I Chinook Churchill away from my call to arms, which I did have to do with previous tiers, which ate up all my income. Here I decided that getting an Energizer would be a very good investment right now, instead of going for Permabrew, as of course Energizer increases hero XP gained, as well as reducing cooldowns, and getting more barrage up as fast as possible is what I kind of want right now. Now, as you can see, yes, Energizer is doing damage, but by the end of the video you'll see that Churchill did most of the damage at like I think around 16 million pops. Now, looking at Energizer's passive abilities, I think Energizer is kind of underrated, or I guess it will be underrated when Battles 2 comes out, as increased hero XP and reduced ability cooldowns everywhere, and like Water Monkey's cooldowns are halved means like you won't have to sell and rebuy as many towers as you would normally need to in order to defend rushes. And as well as, Reactor in general is pretty good at defending Bloons, has struggles against fortified ceramics, but that's besides the point. Anyways, while I was rambling on about battles 2, I got a Monkeyopolis and Bloonarius was popped, and now we're at tier 3 with pretty good farms. Monkeyopolis with BRFs around it, pretty good. But like I said earlier, I think Energizer and I guess just Top Path Sub in general will be kind of underrated when Battles 2 comes out. I think one of the first strategies I might use is just abilities with Energizer, so maybe, I don't know, Dart Sub Farm? Although thinking about that, DDTs and BADs is kind of a struggle there. Anyways, back to TD6, I decided to go for my farms after getting a Permabrew, which I'll need for tier 3. Also, I would just like to say I did sort of forget about the marketplaces down there. I just ended up selling them because I didn't really need them. Yes, I did end up forgetting about them, or else I would have upgraded them to Wall Street and whatever the tier 4 is called. Man, that really shows you how much I use bottom path farms. Here I decided to buy an Ultra Boost and start working on my 10 stacks. Now, all I'm doing now is just pumping levels into Churchill. With tier 3 here, I still wasn't at level 20, it didn't really matter too much. Now, as you'll see for tier 3 of Bloonarius, I absolutely shred Bloonarius. Though by now, Mob Barrage isn't as effective as it was in tier 2, as now pretty much every balloon on screen is a Moab, so not all the Mob Barrage missiles are targeting Bloonarius. Now, getting semi off topic here while just watch Bloonarius get semi shredded, as I know Ice have talked about this in some of his videos, but he was talking about how he wants Paragons to have abilities. I agree, but I don't think that's happening with Lich being added, since, Lich heals whenever you use an ability or you buff a tower. I'm pretty sure this applies to Paragons as well, so Alchemist Paragon won't be that good against Lich when that comes out. And of course, Paragons with abilities won't also be that good when they come out, if there are Paragons with abilities. It is kind of sad that, Paragons won't or may not have abilities. I can't really confirm this or say it's true, but just looking at how Lich heals whenever you use abilities, I think that might be something they continue with future bosses in order to incentivize, Paragons over VTSG. Now here I'm working on my Cripple Moab, just to kill Bloonarius just a bit faster, and I will need it eventually. Fast forwarding just a bit. As you can see, this is my fastest Bloonarius kill so far, and I think will be my fastest Bloonarius kill out of this attempt. Now, a challenge I'm thinking of right now is maybe if I do strong Super Bus towers versus Bloonarius, like Avatar Wrath, Mad, although I'm not really sure if that's possible due to the ceramics. Anyways, now I started working on all my support I'll need, so I got a Super Brittle, and now I'm gonna start working on my support temple. Now, here's tier 4 of Bloonarius. Wasn't able to get my support temple up before tier 5, not tier 5, before Bloonarius spawned, but it didn't really matter anyways. While yes, I do have a support temple, or a temple in general just up on the screen, you'll see that True Sun God doesn't really do a lot of damage without sacrifices. A vanilla True Sun God, in my opinion, is probably the worst tower in the game. It's incredibly expensive and just terrible, but at the same time, why would you go for a True Sun God with no support? So remember, kids, make sure to sacrifice monkeys to your Sun God. Now at this point, I've gotten all the support buffs that I can think of, and tier 4 Bloonarius is just absolutely getting shredded. When I was playing the game, I would actually thought that this was tier 5, and I was just like, oh wow, almost done, wow, that was easy. Unfortunately, it wasn't, but you know, the finishing was pretty exciting. As you'll see, despite all these buffs, tier 5 Bloonarius was fairly close. Just thinking about it now, I'm definitely not looking forward to doing a super buffed Adora versus Bloonarius, as you'd have to constantly sacrifice monkeys in order to have increased attack speed. Although I think super buffed Adora would be a lot better than super buffed Churchill, simply because you have the sacrifice ability. And the fact that, you know, Adora does get buffed from True Sun God being summoned. And I do believe that level 20 Adora is better than level 20 Churchill. Anyways, as you can see, that Bloonarius kill was so fast, I was actually able to show the whole thing without editing it down. You know, if I didn't actually edit down the Bloonarius fights, this video would probably be over an hour long. Look at the boss appears when Bloonarius spawns. Anyway, tier 5 Bloonarius is finally here, being the final tier, and surprisingly, we're putting a decent dent in Bloonarius' health. When I first did this, I thought that tier 5 would be impossible even with the max amount of buffs. Now here, I decided to buy multiple Chinooks, as I am going to need to Chinook both Churchill and Super Riddle around the map in order to get the max amount of damage. I do believe this ends up being necessary, as, like I said earlier, tier 5 Bloonarius is pretty close. Anyways, I don't have really anything else to say about this, so I guess I'll just end my commentary here. So anyways, thanks for watching. If you did make it this far, you can subscribe if you want, like the video if you want, not your dad. Anyways, I will try to be more consistent with video uploads and not take months break between videos. I will finish KRPG. I am already done with KRPG, I just have to edit the videos down. Also, Calamity, DragonBall Terraria Season 2 is coming out once KRPG is done. I did start on that, so look forward to that. I'll call it DragonBall Terraria Season 2, because why not? Also, before I go, try helping me come up with some monkey names. I am really trying to think of what I want to name my towers, but I really just can't come up with any creative names. Even though no one really cares, and I personally don't care that much, I still would like to have some creative names. Anyways, enjoy this Bloonarius fight, and look forward to can Super Buff Adora beat Bloonarius. and as you can see, Churchill ended up doing the most damage.